Being left on red is a problem that has only emerged very recently in our society. Just in case you're completely out of the loop and don't know what that means, on various messaging services there is a function, a feature where you can see when someone has seen your message, when someone has opened and theoretically at least read your message. And being left on red is when when you receive the notification that someone has read your message but they don't reply to you. So the idea being that they're ignoring you or whatever. And so people get very upset when they're being left on red. Sometimes, of course, you might be left on red for a legitimate reason, like the conversation has just fizzled out, or, reached its natural conclusion. But there are times when you might ask a question, have someone see that someone's read your question but chose to ignore you, and that's a bad feeling, and that's why people don't desire to be left on red. So, here's how to never be left on red again in your life. Just simply refuse to use services which use read receipts. Read receipts are evil, and one of the worst developments in technology of all time. You might think that's ridiculous. It's very useful to know when someone has actually read your message versus... so you might think like, oh, I've sent a message and this person hasn't replied. Have they read it and are ignoring me, or have they just not checked their phone in a while? Oh, that's a very useful feature. I know that they've read it. I know that they actually just haven't read the message yet, and that's why they're not purposefully ignoring me. But actually, it doesn't work like that at all. Because sometimes you might accidentally open a message and send a read receipt when you don't need it. Or sometimes you might read a message and then suddenly get busy and do something else, and then it's like, oh shit, something came up, I read your message but I didn't get time to respond. Like, there's a million scenarios where you might send a read receipt by mistake when you haven't actually intended to respond. Because a read receipt might be called a read receipt, but what it actually is a I intend to respond receipt, when it shouldn't be that at all. Having an indicator that someone intends to respond doesn't make any sense because it removes the actual intentionality. I should be able to say that myself, and I think this is ridiculous. And it's similar to typing notifications. In a lot of modern software, you get a notification, like in Discord, for example, it says so-and-so is typing when they start typing. And this is all terrible. I hate all of this. I hate read receipts. I hate typing notifications. I think they're both awful. And let me explain why. It's not just because they're flawed. So, for example, you can, as I said before, sending a read receipt when you didn't actually read it or intend to respond. Or maybe you accidentally, the software bugs out and starts saying you're typing when actually you're doing something completely different and it's just registering you as typing, which has happened to me before. Or maybe, you start typing up a message and delete it. I don't want everyone to see that I've started typing up a message and then deleted it. I don't want that. I don't want everyone to know that. Maybe sometimes I do, but I don't always want everyone to know that. And don't use services that don't allow you to either not have these features or to have these features optional, so you can turn them off and on. So, for example, on Discord. Now, I don't use Discord very much anymore. I've almost completely left the platform due to various privacy concerns and such like that. But on Discord, there is on the vanilla Discord client, no option to turn off typing receipts. So when it says, when you start typing, it will send the data so everyone can see that you're typing. Now, there are other third-party clients which allow you to turn this feature off, and I have these features turned off in those third-party clients, Discord clients. Now, the problem with that being that according to Discord's terms of service, you're not allowed to use third-party clients. So any day, your Discord account could just be banned for no reason for using a third-party client just to allow you to turn off a feature that you didn't want in the first place. Why would you not want these features? Well, firstly, it's metadata. Metadata kills. Metadata is a lot of information about you that you don't necessarily want out there in the world. But more importantly, it's metadata that's to be more precise, it's more of a philosophical problem, because this is one of the ways that technology can manipulate you, and this is the difference between technology that you use and technology that uses you. So, for example, read receipts. When you read someone's message, oh, this person now has been sent the fact that I've read their message. I'm now pressured to reply to them, purely through a technological feature. Not because I actually want to reply to them or I want to have a conversation with them right now, but because the social environment, the social protocols which have been formed, which have been born from a feature in a technology, is now forcing me to participate in some sort of social game that I don't want to participate in. That is technology using you. That is the bad side of technology, in a very obvious way. It's the same sort of thing. Like some people, now I haven't gone this far yet, but I am, maybe one day I will, disable all push notifications on their phone, because having push notifications is like your phone telling you what to do. It's telling you, hey, you are now you now are beholden to me. I am telling you, you need to see all of these things. You need to do all of these things. You're beholden to me. That is technology using you. Same reason, again, back to Discord. Now, again, I don't use Discord that much anymore, but when I do occasionally have to use Discord to talk to certain people who aren't on other platforms or refuse or whatever, for whatever stupid reasons they might have, I just have all notifications for all servers turned off for everything. I don't want to know when someone @s me. I don't want to know when someone everyone's, but I don't want to know anything. All notifications off always, because having that is not a useful feature for me. That is not a function of, it's pretending to be a function of a natural social environment, but actually it's a function of a technology. It's a feature that is in this program. And other programs, other protocols, for example, IRC, which everyone used for many years and then stopped using. IRC doesn't have any of these things. No one complained when IRC didn't have these things. No one was using IRC and thinking, I wish everyone knew when I was typing. I can't think of a single person who would say that. That makes no sense. Why would you want people to know that? It doesn't make any sense. So now you have the situation where once you start typing, you kind of feel obligated to actually send a message. You can't start typing, delete your message, because now it's like, well, everyone knows I started typing and didn't send anything. Or maybe you have a situation where it's like, you just don't want people, you can tell how long someone's message is going to be when they start typing. And this is all, the idea is to socially pressure you to stay on their service for longer, because these are normally for-profit services which market themselves to their shareholders and, are able to gather more data about you to sell to third parties. The longer you use your service, their service, the more reliant on it you are. And the more they can psychologically trick you into thinking that it's your choice to stay on this service for longer, the longer you use the service, and the more money they make. And the more you keep coming back, the more money they make. It's in their best interest, but it's not necessarily in your best interest. It keeps you from, maybe moving to nice, free, open source software that does the same sort of thing. Like Matrix, for example, a better alternative to Discord, which is encrypted, free, open source, decentralized. Everything is basically advantageous over Discord, except that Matrix doesn't have as many of these malicious features. Discord has all of the malicious features, and so people are psychologically programmed to stay on Discord, and when enough people, a sufficient mass of people are psychologically programmed to stay on Discord, they will not move to other platforms, because the reason people use social networks or conversation platforms or messaging protocols or whatever is not because they like it or anything, but because their friends are on there, and there's no point in using a service to talk to people if you have no one to talk to. And so it is very much in these companies' best interest to keep you on their website, keep you on their service for as long as possible, using these psychological tricks where they use you, but they don't, make it obvious. They don't make it obvious that they're exploiting you. They make it seem like a feature. When in reality, having this information, you might think, well, it's just more information I have access to. Now I can know when people have read my message. Now I can know when people have started typing. Instead, start thinking about it as, now this program is telling me I should care. I want to be the one who decides whether I should care. Maybe you have an option in the settings. I don't care if you have an option. If you have the option to turn on read receipts, then that's fine. If you have the option to turn on, I want to send typing notifications when I'm typing. But what if all I want is to be able to turn that off? Because I don't want that. Maybe you want that, and that's great if you want that. But freedom of choice is always the more important. You want the freedom to choose whether I want to send that information about myself. If not, that's a violation of my privacy. Let me choose whether I want to send a notification when I'm typing something up. Let me choose whether I want people to know if I've seen their messages or not. Maybe I don't. The same reason on Discord, again, these days less and less using Discord, but I keep saying that because I want more and more people to move away from Discord, because there are many perfectly workable and usable and even superior alternatives, but people refuse to move from Discord, so that's why I'm pushing that so hard. But on Discord, I don't use the feature which lets people know if you're online or not. I'm always appear offline, no matter what. because I don't want people to know about. Like, it's my personal. Whose fucking business is it whether I'm online or not? Just message me. If I'm there, I'll respond. If I'm not there, I won't respond. If I don't want to be seen there, then I won't respond. There is no reason to let the whole world know whether I'm online or not. Fuck you. That's my decision whether I want to send that information. And thankfully, Discord, piece of shit software as it is, lets you modify that. Lets you go into the settings and appear offline, which is useful, or appear invisible, I think they call it. So that's nice. Give me that for everything. Give me that for all data that I send that I might not want to send. But of course they won't do that, because being able to appear online and offline is, that's been a thing since back in MSN days. I never used MSN, but I know that was a thing back then. That's an old feature, so not having that would feel like a missing feature in Discord, and they can't have that. Not having the option to change and appear offline even though you're online, people would feel like that's a missing feature and they might complain. But if you're adding features like read receipts, like typing notifications and these sorts of things, people won't complain because it seems like you're adding more features, and more features must be better. More features is definitely not better. In fact, more features is very often worse. This is kind of the key point of the Unix philosophy. If you don't know about the Unix philosophy, it's the idea that a program on a computer should do one thing well and be able to communicate with all other programs rather than do everything itself, and not that well. Rather than making a program that tries to do as many things as possible and maybe has its own insular sort of architecture and can't communicate very well with other programs outside of itself. That's how you end up with bloated, terrible software. Rather than that, you should make a software that does one thing as well as possible and can communicate with other programs which can do other things. And that way, you're able to make a very precise piece of minimal software that does just what it needs to do and nothing else, and it's able to communicate with other pieces of software which can extend it. That's how, that's how this whole system should work. That's how computers... So it's a generally good idea to follow that philosophy when you're talking about computers. And obviously, massive privacy disrespecting megacorp-owned apps like Discord have absolutely no interest in following that sort of philosophy. In fact, they actively reject it. They want to be the place where you spend all your time. And to do that, they want to be an ecosystem, as they call themselves, which is abhorrent and disgusting that these places call themselves ecosystems and communities. Community is when people hang out, not when I use your service because I'm forced to. So these ecosystem communities, they want you to only use them. They want you to stay there. They want you to be beholden to them, and therefore they will bloat themselves up as much as possible because it feels like the more features you have, the more time you can spend there. But in reality, you don't want that at all. It's bad for you. It's bad for you, the user, the end user, the consumer, the person who's actually, wants to use the software to do the thing you need to get done. It's bad for you. It's only good for them. So refuse to use these sorts of things, and then you'll never get left on red again because they won't know. You have no way to know. You'll have no way to know. They won't send you their read receipts. They won't send you their typing notifications. You won't send it to them. You can just both turn it off. It's not a matter of, oh, I just don't want to know whether they've read it. It's a matter of, I don't want other people to know about what I've done. It's not like I've turned off the option to see other people's read receipts, because then the data's still getting sent to someone, probably a third-party data harvesting company. Rather than that, I would like the option to not send read receipts about myself and not send typing notifications about myself at all to any server. So that data never leaves my computer. No one even collects that data. No one knows. That's what I want. And if everyone had that option, I want to have everyone turn it off, or, when they want to. And if they don't want to turn it off, they find it useful. Maybe you're in the comments right now typing up your response saying, I love read receipts. I love typing notifications. I really like it. The fact that I can, that people know when I'm about to send a message because they can see that I'm typing. And it prepares them to mentally, mentally prepares them for the bullshit I'm about to say. Or I love it when I know that, my friend can see that I've read their message or whatever. Like, I like that. You for whatever reason. You might have that opinion. And that's great. You should be allowed to have that opinion. And you should be allowed to click a box that turns those features on if you want them. Or to, if those features don't exist, to personally extend the program with those features. Or whatever you want to do. You should be allowed to do all of those things. But don't have it be forced for everyone. Because there are some people who don't like those features, who feel like that's technology using you, who feel, rather than you using technology, who feels like that is an improper use of my fucking laptop. That I don't want that software on there. I don't want that information about myself to be sent to anyone, be it a third party who is, harvesting my information, or be it a friend, or, whatever. I don't want anyone to know that stuff about me. That's my personal decision, whether I want to keep that stuff private or not. But unfortunately, it's not, because you don't have an option to turn these things off on most of these software. And that's very frustrating. And that's how you never get left on red ever again, is you don't use software that allows you to see whether you've been left on red, or sends the information about whether a message has been read or not. Because the only purpose of that feature is to try and psychologically get you to use their service more, so that they make more money off of you. That's the only purpose of that feature. And without that feature, you will now be beholden only to yourself. And that's what's really important with technology, is to be beholden to yourself and not beholden to some mega corporation that only wants to harvest you for your information and money.